Oh, let's go ahead and break this down because this is absolute facts. And I'm so glad you said this because I think that this speaks to a larger issue in our community, actually quite a few larger issues. But I think that it stems from an issue of validation and a lack of power. That's the only way that this kind of stuff makes sense if you think about it, because in every aspect of our lives, whether we're grown or not, we are forced to follow certain protocols, whether you subscribe to respectability politics or you have to follow the rules of the job, social norms, cultural norms. You're always being told what to do. And unfortunately, there's so many negative stereotypes and expectations placed on Black people that when we actually defy the odds by being fucking normal, having a place, having a car, having a job, being good, being on our feet or being married, those become our sources of power. And when you find your power, you want to find a way to throw it around. People like to throw their weight around. The only place you can leverage things like that is over your child because they're the only people who need you. And I think that that's really sad. And I've heard parents say stuff like that. I've heard parents say stuff like, don't think that because you're 18 now you're going to be disrespecting me and doing what you want. You ain't grown in this house when the kid ain't even did nothing yet. And that's because you have a sense of power lost because this person is now an adult and independent of you. But the thing is, we know that as adults, as people who are twice that age, 18 is not grown. You're a legal adult, but you're not fully developed in the mind until you're 25. So when parents say stuff like, he think he's going to be a kid when he want to be a kid and be grown when he want to be grown, well, where the fuck else do you expect him to be? That's the position he's supposed to be in because that's where life has placed him. Of course, he's going to want to explore his newfound adulthood because y'all told him at 18 that he's grown, but his mind is not fully developed until he's 25. So of course, he's going to need to fall back on the safety net of his parents. Why is that a problem for you? You don't see other people doing that shit like that. Not the way that we do. We'll kick our kids out. And for what? Our kids are not like other kids. The world already treats them different. They're already seen different. They historically have had it different and had it harder. And we still do. The numbers speak for themselves, but we don't care. Or, well, I've seen older people do this. Even in my own family, I've had this conversation. Well, he needs to go in there and talk to them people. You got to go talk to a manager and fill out an application. Let them people know your face. Nobody applies for jobs like that anymore. Everything is done online. So having those unrealistic expectations of people and then holding them to higher standards than they can meet because the times are different is wrong. But if you don't factor in that the world is not the way it was when you were a child, you don't see that. And furthermore, if you were one of those people who had to struggle, had to get it out of the mud, why the fuck would you put your child through that? Because that's literally the point. You're supposed to go through the hard stuff to make it easier for the next generation. Instead, we want to make them go through what we went through because why? We feel like it was unfair for us. It was unfair. In the generation before us, things were unfair for them, but they still did it so that we could advance. Why the fuck aren't you keeping the tradition alive? In the multi-general households that you mentioned, yeah, that's been normal in Black households and Black communities, but we've become so colonized in the mind that we now subscribe to white beliefs about the nuclear family. Your household's supposed to look like this. It's supposed to be ran like this. What the fuck do they know about family? They don't know shit about family. Their dynamics are fucked up. They just don't get on online and talk about it the way that we all do. And they're held to a different standard because they've historically always had the power. So comparing yourself to them is just silly in the first place. But either way, this shit is ridiculous. And of course it destroys the sense of village because you dismantle the village by kicking your child out of it. You exile them from the village. So they're going to go out and find a new village. They're going to either create one or they're going to join one that's already been pre-established. And that may not be a good thing. And that destroys the legacy. It ends the traditionalism. It ends the culture because they're no longer attached to it. So this type of shit is detrimental. And it's a big factor in why we don't feel like a family anymore.